Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, I'll be analyzing what I did to send hard boulders in only one session by adapting to the boulders and telling you what I was thinking at the moment by doing these small changes. Let me know in the comments if you like this format of me analyzing my sessions and trying to make tutorials. And if you have any YouTube idea you want me to do, don't forget to mention them in the comments also. So without further ado, let's get into my session. Today, we'll be climbing at Beta Block, which is a gym in Montreal, and the setting over there is insanely good. It has some of the best route setters in the country, and every single boulder is just a banger. Alright, so first of all, in this gym, it works a little differently because you're not going to see the V grades, you're about to see some circuits. It goes from circuit 1 to circuit 6, and every single one has 3 tiers. For example, circuit 6, 3 tiers is the hardest, it could be around V12, and the ones I'll be doing in this video will mostly be 6 tier 1 and 6 tier 2, so around V9, V10s. To make it less confusing, I'm not going to use V grades and I'm just going to put the circuit on the top left corner, so you're going to see every single circuit that I'm trying at the moment. Before I get into my session, I just want to say that I climbed the day before that one, so my body was feeling a little tired. But I could still get some really cool boulders and some pretty hard ones because last time I went to this gym, I couldn't really do too many 6, even the 6 tier 1, so I was really proud of this session. So this is going to be the last boulder of my warm-up, and after that, we're going to get into the hard boulders that I want to analyze for this video. So this one, you'll see that it has a lot of toe hooks and some heel hooks, so I think it was perfect for a warm-up of the whole body. So even though this boulder didn't have crimps, I was definitely getting a good warm-up because I got a little pump from this one, and it's always good to get this little pump before you get into some hard boulders because you don't want to get pumped for the whole session. I also did a couple of other boulders to warm up, but I don't want to bore you, so I'm gonna get straight to this first boulder that we'll be trying in this session. And as you see, this one is on the steep wall. I think it was a 45 to maybe 50 degrees angle. And we can already see this intense lock-off move and this insanely big flip that you have to really hold attention. And at this point on my flash go, I was a little confused on what to do. So the only thing that I read from the ground was this stoke on the right side, but then my foot slipped. I was actually really proud of my first attempt. I didn't think I would make it that far because this beginning was a little confusing, going right side and then doing this enormous lock off. It turned out to be the beta, at least I think that's what the beta was. And on my second attempt I could control it a lot better. So what I did here is fully committing into this next move, but then the crimp turned out to be a lot worse than I thought, and it was just further than I expected. I had to do something different, and what I was thinking is simply just pull a lot harder to not only create tension with my toe hook, but to catch the hold and really take it inside, because on my last attempt I was going too slow and I didn't really take the hold correctly. So on this one, like I said, I put my toe hook, and before going into the move I did a big swing and I could finally stick the move. And it was definitely not over because at this point I still had to really keep the toe hook. And this next move was so limit because my shoulders were not engaged and I was starting to get pumped because, like I said, I did a session yesterday and I was feeling so tired. But fortunately, I could get a send of this boulder and I was really happy because it was kind of the beginning of my send train of the session. So we are now moving on to the second boulder, and this one is a completely different style because I am in a kind of a slab beginning and then you get into this really small box and finishing off with like a big compression with the wall. So a lot of different styles, but definitely not an overhang climb. So in my first try, I actually got pretty far into this boulder and I thought I could flash it until I got to this move that I wasn't really close to sticking it. So there was definitely something I wasn't understanding. So on my second attempt, I actually thought it was just a mistake and I decided to do kind of the same, just push harder with my feet and like bending my leg a little more so then when I reach the jug, I can kind of just press harder with my foot on the wall. But I did the same and it didn't work. So as you'll see here, my foot just kind of pops off and the move is just weird if you do it that way. So my friend told me, okay, maybe you could place your feet really high into that small foothold And even though it looked weird, I thought it could maybe work because getting a feet high like that would definitely make a big change from just pushing with the wall. And honestly, I didn't think it would make that much of a difference, because at this point, even though it was a little uncomfortable, it was pretty much over. And basically just switching your beta like that and seeing other possibilities can make a huge difference. And I didn't really use strength on that attempt. It was mostly like a technical mistake. So we are now on circuit 6, tier 1, and this boulder is a little different because you start off with these crimps and the footholds are not too good. So my first mistake was to start off with the right foot, and I probably should have seen that you can start off with the left one and you're pretty much set up for the next move. So in this attempt, I started left foot and then I went straight up to this Gaston move, and these holds are not too good, and then you have to do this dyno, so it's kind of hard to generate, and there was definitely a trick to make this move easier. So on this attempt, I went for the same beta, left foot, and look at my legs. I am pulling a lot more, and I'll do a comparison right here. So on the left side, you can see that I'm pulling a lot from my arms, and I gotta do this big cross move with my arms, so the legs weren't helping too much. But on the right side, my legs are going really high, and the cross is actually not that far this time. By comparing the images, we can see that on the right side, my right leg is a lot higher than it is on the left side. And by getting the leg this high, I get this good momentum to cross the arm, and in this way I don't have to push too much with my arms. So to get this move on your first attempt, you basically have to commit a lot more, and this way you're gonna generate more from your legs and the move is gonna feel a lot easier. For the rest of the climb, I don't have much to say. I flashed it, but I definitely pulled hard on these really bad holds, especially the second to last hold. This one, the friction was not there and I had to squeeze a lot more than I thought. So it was definitely a pretty physical ending, but nothing too technical. And yeah, I was really happy to get this climb and to adapt on only a few attempts. Moving on to another circuit 6 tier 1. This one turned out to be my biggest project of the session. These holds are really special because they have some friction, but they're really like big and you gotta squeeze them in a really special way. So I wasn't really used to grabbing these balls in the middle section. And on my first attempt, since I touched most of the holds, I kind of knew what they felt like. And on my second attempt, I basically grabbed them and really pushed with my core. And I know it's weird to say, but once you grab a hold, you kind of like squeeze your core and then you can really stop your momentum. And that's exactly what I did on this attempt. So I thought it was the crux to grab that ball in the middle section, but this last move caused me so much trouble. So I want to show you in slow motion my first attempt versus my second one. So you see here on the left side, once I go to the left ball, my body is not really following and I'm just kind of dropping down. But on the right side, when I grab that ball, I'm squeezing my core and I'm really just stopping my momentum. And the hold is not too bad, it's just simply about stopping the momentum once you grab the hold. So once I understood that I had to engage my core, this move was not a big issue. The real hard move was the last one, because on the second to last hold, you usually have to match it because it's really terrible and the feet are really high. So for me, I thought this method of just locking off and going semi-dynamic into the last move was gonna work, but it turns out that the hold was so trash that I had a lot of trouble pulling from it. And after a few attempts, I was losing some grip strength and it was getting harder to squeeze these holds. So every time, this last move was really getting harder and harder. And like you see here, I'm getting really close, but I really have to like stay close to the wall if I want to hold that last position. But anyways, what I did differently is persevere, not much. I really think I did everything I could from the beginning, and the last move is simply just weird, but I got to pull more into the wall if I want to stick it, and I really just pulled hard. On this one, like I said, I'm just locking off, going semi-dynamic and really staying close to the wall and holding really hard the left hand, and it just stick. So yeah, that was it. If we compare each video, on the left side you see that once I stick it, I'm pulling right off the wall, my knee is outside, and on the right side, my knee is pretty much in and I'm closer to the wall, so I just have more time to catch the last hold instead of taking it and being already outside the wall. And we're finishing off this video with our Circuit 6 Tier 2. So before anybody asks, this Circuit 6 Tier 2 felt a lot easier than the other ones I did before, even though they were Circuit 6 Tier 1s, simply because this is a lot more my style. And you see this boulder is full of crimps in a really big overhang, and these moves are pretty hard, but like I said, I'm usually really strong at crimps, so this is definitely something that fit me. So I'm just showing you real quick what the holds look like. They're pretty good, but like I said, this is probably like a 80-degree angle. I'm not too sure what the real angle is, but I just know that this is really steep. And what I like about this wall is that they don't do simple moves. By placing a lot of volumes like this, they can create some good angles on some holds and create these complex moves like this one that I'll talk about after my send. And it just makes me think of like an outside boulder, because you have this really big angle and you got to pull hard on some crimps and sometimes accept some cut loose. And you know, these moves that you really have to pull hard with your foot. For the rest of the climb, I got a good flash of this section, even though I dabbed a little bit on the mats. But this section was mostly about endurance and finishing off the climb with a big heel hook on the right. And after that, you have to do the top out, which, by the way, is not that simple, because even though it looks like a jug, it's kind of slopey. So that's the reason why I didn't just throw myself into the top out. It's because I knew it was slopey and I had to take it slow. Alright, so the reason why I said that this first move is complex is because you have your arms crossed and you have to push with your left hand that is far to the right, lock off with your right side, and then you have to reach really far to the left side and push a lot with your left foot. So there's definitely a lot of things to think about, and on the right side, what I did differently is push a lot more with the left hand, and that way I can get close to the wall and have some time to reach to the left hand. But again, I'm really long, so I don't know how a normal person does this move, but I just know that it was the crux for me, and this first move was really complex, and I just think that it was an awesome climb. I also want to talk about this move. As you see here, after the cut loose, I'm trying to get my left foot on the crimp, but it slips off and I'm losing all my balance, and on the right side there isn't much, so I'm just kind of dropping this move. And on the right side, what I do differently is that I directly push a lot with my left foot. And that's typically a move of board climbing, that you have to push really hard with your foot. And this is why, again, I think this is like a outside and board climbing boulder. So this concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed it. These climbs were insane. Like usual, this gym always has some really cool boulders. Let me know if you like this format, and I'll see you guys on the next video.